All right, guys, quick video for you. We're going to talk about the AI memory sector. We're going to talk about what is going to happen next week. Are we going to see continue to go down, prices go down in Micron, SanDisk, SK Hynix, Samsung, etc. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the possibility that we could see AI memory go back up. I think it's going to go back up next week. But But what I really want to get with you about is talking about a couple of key things as it relates to kind of the AI memory heavyweights. Micron, SK Hynix, and to an extent SanDisk, but really Micron and SK, specifically related to long-term contracts and how that's changing the memory business. And this is something that Wall Street doesn't really want you to know or doesn't really talk a lot about, but it is something you need to be aware of, okay? So me, I'm still at the Lake of the Ozarks. There you go. Sorry, I can't do videos where I'm showing you charts and stuff. The internet here is not that good, so I'm having to kind of just talk to you like this. Okay, so here's what we're facing right now. Today, July 3rd, the markets here in the U.S. are closed for the July 4th holiday, and then obviously trading opens back up on Monday. And I expect volatility on Monday and Tuesday. We got Micron sitting at around $975 a share right now. SK Hynix had about a 14% drop on the South Korean markets when it closed trading. And looking at next week, coming up and rolling into to next week, the July 6th, that was July 6th, July 7th. I think we might see a little bit of volatility early week, but I think long term, I think we're going to see positive movement. I think number one, you're going to see people buying back in Micron because it's below $1,000, and you're going to see kind of a resurgence. And if you looked at kind of how it all played out on Thursday's trading, when we ended trading, most of the AI sector was down, semiconductor, memory. And I think, again, I did a video on this, talked about it. I think it was because we saw the South Korean market dump, SK Hynix down 14%, Samsung down 9% plus, etc. Now, right now, we'll take a look at kind of what we see next week. Okay, so next week, again, I think long term we're going to be fine. Next week might have a little volatility, have a little bleed over, but I think we should have a good week, and I think people will buy. Now, I want to talk about specifically something that a lot of Wall Street's not talking about, associated with the big memory guys. And again, we're talking about Micron and SK Hynix. Long-term contracts are fundamentally changing Micron's business and SK Hynix's business. What do I mean by that? Those long-term contracts are reducing and pretty much moving away from the cyclical nature of memory, of the AI memory production cycle. Historically, memory has been a very cyclical business, but it is those long-term contracts, specifically Micron announcing all of those major contracts. These are 4 or 5 year deal contracts, and it's completely taking the cyclical nature out of that business. And what does that mean? That means we no longer going to have kind of these ups and downs in the AI memory space, specifically for sales, for earnings, all that kind of stuff. And this is something that Wall Street's really not talking a lot about, but you need to be aware of. Why? Because I think it's going to level out for the next year or two plus. The earnings will continue to go up because they're going to manage that production cycle, right? Micron's going to manage revenue recognition in that production cycle on how much and when they can ship the chips. Like, for example, there's a number out there that the CEO of Micron came out and talked about. A lot of the major contracts, they're going to fill about 50 to 70% of those in 27 and 28, okay? And again, it's going to, because of the nature of the contracts, there are contracts that are kind of locked in stone, 5-year contracts with all the big hyperscalers, all that kind of stuff, okay? So again, remember this, the cyclical nature of the AI memory, really the memory trade, is now kind of gone away because of these long-term agreements that Micron and to an extent SK Hynix have put into place. Now, beyond that, what you have to reconsider or have to be aware of as well is that you still are going to see a lot of negative news out there. Is the AI bubble gonna end and all that kind of stuff? Here's what you need to watch out for, okay? You need to watch, and I will be watching it for you. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, because I will be talking about this. We always need to be watching and keeping an eye on the hyperscalers, because it's the hyperscalers that are essentially paying for all of the AI infrastructure, data center, and so forth build out, right? Remember I gave you the picks and shovels analogy in a couple of videos. And in this case, this is the not Wall Street. This is the gold rush back in the day in California. All the people went out there to get rich finding gold. It was really the companies and individuals that were selling the picks and shovels, the blue jeans, all the services around, selling it to all the people who are looking for gold. This is what we're talking about here. The hyperscalers are the people looking for gold. It's the people selling the picks and shovels, AMD, NVIDIA, Micron, SK Hynix, that are benefiting from this massive windfall of CapEx expenditures coming into AI. My point to you is that you need to be aware of and keep your eye on, and I'll do it for you, what the hyperscalers are saying. And anytime we get any type of a comment or notice or guidance that's specifically coming from the hyperscalers, we need to pay attention, okay? And we will be, right? I will be for you, because they're the ones funding it. So when you start to see any of them changing their tune about how much they're going to spend on a go-forward basis, that's where we need to be concerned. But I'll remind you, we have these long-term service agreements that we have signed. Micron signed with pretty much every single major hyperscaler out there and every single major company. So I think forward-looking comments will be taken negatively by the market and will have short-term impact on a Micron or an SK Hynix if we do see a hyperscaler say something negative or imply something negative about future capital expenditures for AI build out. That's the only real concern I see right here, is that. But I will always bring you back to the long-term contracts that are in place. These are multi-year contracts, and they are taking the cycle, I want to say cyclicality, but that's not a word. Taking the cyclical nature out of the business, which is cool, right? Because that levels out revenue, it levels out sales, it levels out revenue, it levels out earnings, and it gives a lot of downstream visibility for the executive leadership of Micron, of SK Hynix, because they can look out and they know fabrication schedules, they know when they're going to be able to ship those chips. And they know when they can recognize those revenues. They know when they can, and how that will align with revenue earnings calls, and how it will align with future expectations and future guidance on raising Q4 and Q1 of next year's guidance and so forth. Okay, so that's what you need to be aware of. So remember, long-term service contracts, game changer. Number 2, keep an eye on hyperscalers. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, because I'll be keeping an eye on that for you. We're going to keep an eye on the hyperscalers and looking for any type of a change of rhetoric or change of message associated with AI spend, because that will have a negative impact on all the major AI players, right? I'm talking about semiconductor, memory, all that kind of stuff, all right? That's what I got for you right now. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. Hopefully you got some value out of the video. Leaving tomorrow, Saturday, to head back to Dallas. I'll be back to my normal schedule tomorrow, late afternoon, what have you. And one last shot of Lake of the Ozarks. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. I'll see you. Bye.